It has always helped me when people say to me, imagine. So, how about I'll do the same with you and now imagine with me. Imagine that you are working on a very important document work. It requires so much from you that you have reached to the point of burnout, and not to avoid that, you get help from someone to help you. The help that you get is sounds so committing, and just say they have understood all the ideas, and you actually start feeling like, okay, you know what, the peace is taking over me. I'm glad that person is here. But it ends up with that person submitting 8, no, not 1, not 2, 8 documents of the same thing you asked them to do, but the documents are so unapologetically developed from AI that even looking at them hurts your eyes and your brain, because it's evident that the person who built it doesn't even know what he wants the document to look like. Frustrating, right? Now how about I tell you the same thing happened with me? Yes, it did. So this video is basically how I used AI for work, and the distinction between how it helped me and how was I able to maintain that distinctions that I do believe people now need more than ever, right? I am a millennial, and due to that, when it comes to even working in school, even working universities, we did hard work, right? Hard work meaning when it comes to producing a 20,000 plus words report, we would do that. When it comes to that deep research, when your professor asks you, you have to read around 25 to 30 articles in order to produce the records, you do that, right? When teacher asks you have to transcribe an hour plus recording, you do that. And although this sounds so tedious and people would be like, oh my god, we have AI, so it's so much better right now, but that's where you are wrong, because that has given me the ability to think before I use AI. The problem starts to occur when you ask AI to think for you, to just do everything for you of one of the most important tasks that you were given to work at, and you just close your eyes, you ignore the point that every AI tool is telling you that AI can make mistakes, and you completely ignore that and you submit without even putting an effort because you think you can do it. But that's where you are wrong. Yes, you can do it, but you cannot keep producing, because that's the point that will reach to not only an individual failure, that reach onto the founder failure as well. So let me tell you how I actually used AI. So the thing is that when it comes to me working, there was the AI was already taking over our lives at that time, and when I was asked to build and work on the whole idea of this agency, how the agency is working, and to do in-depth research, I knew that okay, I knew how to do it, but at the same time I was confused that I know how to do it, but it's going to take me months to do it, because I am someone who would see one thing and who would think all of the ways that could be refuted, and if I think that doesn't have enough justification, then for me it would be okay, you need to now move on to the next level, because I need something that couldn't be refuted, and when you have that mindset that it couldn't be refuted, then that's basically you're able to justify it properly, and that's how every pointer that you have, that's how you'll be able to defend it, because you already have refuted all the arguments, right? So that's basically the main part of it. I got on and I knew that okay, I have done the primary research, there was secondary research that I had to do. I have already defined the company well, but then again, you cannot work at a company in isolation, or you cannot just depend on moving from isolation to working on the global international market just using AI. AI again can make mistakes, saying that again because it's really important, but then again, AI cannot be fully dependent on do that, because if you do not have any structure, anything in your mind, it can easily spiral back. So what I started doing was, okay, I knew that okay, I've done the primary research, I have this, I know I do have a really good idea what this is about, but I really need help when it comes to how I start my research, right? There's one thing that I've always worked in that way, is following this umbrella method. So whenever I jump into a new territory, I work around, when it comes to this research, I work around, okay, what is the overarching way to look at research? So when it comes to market research, for me, it was first look at globally, note down all the pointers that were important, and that would be mainly your defining layer to figure out the research. And then it comes to the international market, and then it comes to the local market. Not only I did that for the market research, I did that for the company USPs as well, where the company thinks they are different. And even when I know the companies they are different, I actually backed it by the research, so that even someone asks, okay, why is that about it, how is that help, we have answer to everything, because like I said, we have already refuted all the pointers that people are going to throw at you, right? So that means you have gone into with the mindset of learning, right? So that's how I worked on the challenges part and the solution part, right? Looking at the overarching, and then that umbrella method of this, and then going to the smallest part when it comes to that individual specimen that I call the company. That basically helps you see things in a different way. But then again, that becomes really difficult when you are just working in isolation as in without any tools, because if you go online, it's filled up with hundreds or thousands of articles on it, and you cannot have the capacity go through all of them. How I used was that okay, I knew that globally that's how it's working, that's how it's done, and then first I figure out, okay, I need to work on articles done, but then again, what are the websites that I actually need to look at that produces the credible answers for me? And now comes upon the time, okay, I need to go through articles and 20-25 paging long research. We don't have time for that, definitely. I copy pasted the research in AI so that AI could help me break down the pointers. And when I know, okay, this pointer can easily be directed towards a particular pain point, and that pain point is actually a really good one that is in line with my primary research as well, then that becomes a point that you add onto the sheet. So this is how the over depth, like the 2 days that it will take you to read the article, that was done within a jiffy, and that basically helps me structure, okay, what the article is, but what I'm able to extract from it, as a pain point, but when it even comes to the pain point, what are the research that would be backing it, and how we can implement it when it comes to working for the the organization that I was working for. So that's structure, okay, of just learning everything, I would say, in the backward way of going through the article first by again posting them on AI, then learning what it is, and then what I do whenever I do that, I ask AI to explain it like you would to an 80-year-old, and AI does not disappoint, I tell you that. So that was really easy for me to do that. So that structuring happened, right? The same thing I did when it comes to backing up the USPs that were redefined for the company, and those were the most amazing way, because through articles I was able to see how the people were actually responding to marketing, and how that response can easily be translated into one of the USPs that we have already set for the company. And that research that AI basically translated it for me, that could easily back it up and could help me later on to producing the pitch deck. And that too, not me doing the work, AI doing the work. I'll get to that later. So then the experiential part was done. Then it comes to the challenges part. And you know what, up till now, when you're able to have that overarching, the umbrella effect when it comes to the first part of market research, then the USPs research, you have a good idea the challenges in the market and how the solutions. So that's basically was really easy for me to map out. And during this, it was a time, yes, even though I was working, I reached a point of burnout, and burnout was real. And that's basically what happened was me getting help for someone who was eager to help me, who I thought, okay, it's going to be just peace, just just taking over me, for me to end up realizing that I wasted days on something, or maybe someone who is not even understanding the basic issue, and that being that you don't even know what you don't know, right? And that's very important, because if you don't know what, when you go onto the website, when you go to AI, that what you really need, then whatever it produces, either from a credible source or not, either in line with what it's asked for or not, or either you have actually read it or not, it won't make sense. And why it doesn't make sense is that you don't even know what you know and what you do not know, so you don't look at from that angle. And I ended up spending more time in explaining him, and that spiraled in the really wrong way. So when I was able to do that, I use all those research. So how I came about, so I use all of that I did work into the presentation. I used AI to build the presentation, because as much as it's important for you to build a storytelling, it's much as important for you the content, the proper structure, the right amount of information, the infographics. Equally, it's important to have a right design that sounds, that sings, and that basically adds to the symphony of the story you're trying to paint when it comes to the company, right? So I did the structuring part, I did the content part because I already had that, and I did the storytelling part because that was easy way to map from then my primary and secondary research. So when it comes to the AI, it became really easy to just direct what I really want, because I'm now going to the AI, not depending on it to think for me. I'm doing that because I know what I want, so I'm able to direct what you need to do. And in that way, I was able to prepare a deck, a 40 to 50 document deck, not for the client but for the company, so that there is an overarching deck that they can use for every client that they come across. Because with that, they're just going to take the right information based on the market, based on what they're targeting, and then add the research, and boom, you're done, you're good to go. And that's how it was designed. Like, you have one big thing, and then every client was taken care of that one huge document, and that became really easy to handle all of these things, right? And that research actually really helped me with the website work as well, that I'm definitely going to get into later in another video, definitely. But it's really important for you to realize that yes, I'm able to define you how I was able to use AI and not be dependent on it. But you need to be very cognizant of the fact that you are not digging yourself up for digging your grave by on side of your own business, just by depending on the AI full in full out, because you see a lot of people using it, so why can't you use it? And it just lifts off the burden, right? It doesn't lift off the burden, it just takes you in the wrong way. Because if everyone is using AI, then, and you are a passionate visionary, how are you going to make your offer different? How are you going to bring in that storytelling touch? How are you going to bring in that credibility, when if you end up trusting AI for everything, then that turns into a point that it's AI's business and not yours. So how, if you run into a ditch, how are you going to trace your steps back? AI can be wrong. There's so many times that I have asked it something, it has produced it for me, and I had to shout at it multiple times that it doesn't sound like me, so I'm not going to share it. You have to make sure that it sounds like me, and I have previously already shared a voice, so it should sound like me. And I've gone back and forth. So it's really important that you don't be dependent on it. And I know right now people have become quite critical of it, even if you use M-dashers, even if the way you sound, it's becoming very clear when you just close your eyes, just copy paste from AI, and there is no thinking involved. And that's why you see so many videos on LinkedIn of exposing people who basically seemed like just copy pasted from AI, right? And the person I talked to you about that actually produced 8 documents, believe it or not, when I was having conversation with him on WhatsApp, the messages were from AI. I'm not going to name which one, you already know which one. It was AI. He was conversing with me. I was conversing with AI at that time. Can you believe it? Let's ignore that part. So that's basically what happens when you don't think, and that's the point, that when you become so dependent on it, each and every step of yours, for you it just turned out to be, okay, I don't think I'll be able to produce anything better, so how about AI do that for me? How about AI do that for me? So psychologically you're actually losing confidence in yourself, and that's more scary. So before you start your work, and use AI, because you have to use AI. You cannot be stringent of changes. You cannot be stringent, okay, I'm not gonna use AI. You're going to reach that burnout pretty quickly, and you're not going to go anywhere close to being successful. Because if people have become successful right now, it also because they are so in tune with the changes the market needs, the reading of the market and everything. And so understanding the technology come in handy with that, right? So just a way, regardless of you being millennial, of being Gen Z, I think there are learning point for both. First is that you shouldn't be stringent to the changes. You have to adopt the changes and not look at from only the critical eye, and see the ways you can use it without losing you in it, right? And for the other way, it's just that you are not a machinery, you are a human, and that's a very valid way that God has given you a mind. So use that. Very important. Use that, and you will see that the changes in the content, the ideas you're going to be producing.